Hello, my friends. Welcome back. I hope you are having a peaceful day. Today, I want to tell you a very special story. It is a story about the greatest empire the world has ever seen. This empire lasted for more than 1,000 years. It built roads that we still use today. It created laws that many countries still follow. It had powerful armies, brilliant leaders, and amazing buildings. But nothing lasts forever. The Roman Empire grew too big, faced too many problems, and finally fell. Its story is full of power, glory, and lessons for all of us. Can you imagine building an empire that started as a small village? Can you imagine ruling almost all of the known world? And can you imagine watching it all fall apart? This is the story of the Roman Empire. If you enjoy learning English through stories like this, please subscribe to our channel. Your subscription helps us bring you more beautiful stories for your English journey. The story of Rome begins in a very simple way. It begins with two baby boys and a wolf. According to an old story, Rome was founded in the year 753 BC. Two brothers, Romulus and Remus, built the city. But their story starts before they were born. Their grandfather was a king. A bad man took his throne and ordered the babies to be killed. But the man who was supposed to kill them felt sorry for the babies. He put them in a basket and placed it in the Tiber River. The river carried the basket to safety. A wolf found the babies. She fed them with her milk and kept them warm. Later, a shepherd found them and raised them as his own sons. When the boys grew up, they learned about their past. They decided to build a city of their own, but they argued about where to build it. Romulus wanted one hill, Remus wanted another. The argument became a fight, and Romulus killed his brother. Then he built the city and named it after himself, Rome. This is just a story. We do not know if it is true. But for hundreds of years, the people of Rome believed it. It was their creation myth. For more than 200 years, kings ruled Rome. Some kings were good, some were bad. The last king was very bad. His name was Tarquin the Proud. He was cruel. He did not listen to the people. Finally, in 509 BC, the people of Rome had enough. They drove the king out of the city. They decided they would never have a king again. Instead, they created something new, a republic. In a republic, the people choose their leaders. Rome had a senate, a group of important men who made decisions. They also had two leaders called consuls. The consuls shared power, so no one person could become too powerful. This system worked well for a long time. The Roman Republic grew slowly at first. Rome fought with its neighbors, cities, and tribes in Italy. The Roman army was strong and well organized. Roman soldiers were called legionaries. They were tough, disciplined, and loyal. They fought hard and did not give up. One by one, the neighbors fell. Rome began to control all of Italy, but controlling Italy was not enough. Rome looked beyond its borders. Across the sea, in North Africa, there was a powerful city called Carthage. Carthage controlled trade in the Mediterranean Sea. Rome wanted that power. Between 264 BC and 146 BC, Rome and Carthage fought 3 wars. We call them the Punic Wars. The most famous leader of Carthage was a general named Hannibal. He did something amazing. He took his army, including war elephants, across the mountains from Spain to Italy. It was a difficult and dangerous journey. Many soldiers and elephants died. But Hannibal surprised the Romans and won many battles on their own land. For years, Hannibal stayed in Italy. He defeated Roman army after Roman army, but he could not capture Rome itself. Finally, a Roman general named Scipio took the fight to Carthage. Hannibal had to return home to defend his city. Scipio defeated him in the Battle of Zama in 202 BC. Rome won the war. In the Third War, Rome destroyed Carthage completely. They burned the city. They sold the people into slavery. They poured salt on the land so nothing would grow again. Rome now controlled the Mediterranean Sea. They called it Mare Nostrum, our sea. With victory came wealth. Roman generals and politicians became rich and powerful. But with wealth came problems. The rich got richer. The poor got poorer. Small farmers could not compete with large farms worked by slaves. They lost their land and moved to the city, looking for work. But there was not enough work. Rome began to have problems. The army changed too. Soldiers used to be farmers who fought for their land. Now, they fought for their generals, and the generals became more powerful than the government. This led to civil wars, wars between Romans. In the 1st century BC, Rome had many civil wars. Two men became very powerful during this time. One was Julius Caesar, the other was Pompey. They had worked together before, but now they became enemies. Caesar defeated Pompey and became the most powerful man in Rome. The Senate named him dictator for life, but some senators were afraid. They thought Caesar wanted to be king. So on March 15, in the year 44 BC, they killed him. We call this day the Ides of March. After Caesar died, more civil wars followed. Two men emerged as the most powerful. One was Caesar's adopted son, Octavian. The other was Caesar's friend, Mark Antony. Mark Antony joined with Cleopatra, the queen of Egypt. Octavian defeated them in the Battle of Actium in 31 BC. Both Mark Antony and Cleopatra killed themselves. Octavian was now the sole ruler of Rome. Octavian was very smart. He learned from Caesar's mistake. He did not call himself king. He called himself princeps, first citizen. He also took the name Augustus, which means the respected one. He kept the Senate, but he held all the real power. This was the beginning of the Roman Empire. Augustus ruled for more than 40 years. He brought peace to Rome after many years of war. This peace was called the Pax Romana, Roman peace. It lasted for about 200 years. During this time, the Roman Empire grew and prospered. Under Augustus, Rome built roads, bridges, and aqueducts. Aqueducts brought fresh water to the cities. Rome built temples, theaters, and public baths. Trade grew. The economy grew. The arts flourished. Writers like Virgil and Horace created great works of literature. It was a golden age. Augustus also created a professional army. Soldiers served for 20 years and then received land or money as a reward. This army protected the borders of the empire. The empire continued to grow. It stretched from Britain in the west to Syria in the east. It included all of southern Europe, North Africa, and much of the Middle East. More than 50 million people lived under Roman rule. After Augustus died, other emperors followed. Some were good, some were terrible. The Emperor Tiberius was suspicious and cruel. The Emperor Caligula was crazy. He made his horse a senator. The Emperor Nero was also crazy. Some people say he started a great fire in Rome and blamed the Christians. He killed many Christians in terrible ways. But there were good emperors too. The Emperor Trajan expanded the empire to its largest size. The Emperor Hadrian built a wall across northern Britain to keep out the tribes. You can still see Hadrian's wall today. The Emperor Marcus Aurelius was a philosopher who wrote a famous book about his thoughts. For 200 years, the empire was strong, but nothing lasts forever. After Marcus Aurelius died, problems began to appear. The first problem was the army. Soldiers became more loyal to their generals than to the empire. Different generals fought each other to become emperor. In one 50-year period, Rome had more than 20 emperors. Most of them were killed by their own soldiers. The empire had no stability. The second problem was money. Rome spent too much on the army and on wars. To pay for everything, emperors made coins with less silver in them. This made the coins worth less. Prices went up. People could not afford to buy things. The economy got worse and worse. The third problem was the borders. The empire was very large. It was difficult to defend. Tribes from outside the empire began to attack. In the north, there were Germanic tribes like the Goths and the Vandals. In the east, there was the powerful Persian Empire. Rome had to fight on many fronts at the same time. The fourth problem was inside the empire. People stopped believing in the old Roman gods. New religions appeared. One of these was Christianity. Christians refused to worship the emperor as a god. This made the emperors angry. They killed many Christians. But the religion continued to grow. In 284 AD, an emperor named Diocletian tried to fix the problems. He divided the empire into two parts, the Western Roman Empire and the Eastern Roman Empire. Each part had its own emperor. This made the empire easier to manage, but it also made it weaker, because now there were two governments. Another emperor, Constantine, did something even more important. In 312 AD, he was about to fight a battle. He said he saw a cross in the sky with the words, "In this sign, conquer." He won the battle and became a Christian. In 313 AD, he made Christianity legal in the empire. Later, Christianity became the official religion of Rome. Constantine also built a new capital city. He chose a city in the east, on the site of an old Greek city called Byzantium. He named it Constantinople, the city of Constantine. Today, we call it Istanbul. This city became the center of the Eastern Roman Empire. After Constantine, the two parts of the empire grew apart. The Western Empire spoke Latin, the Eastern Empire spoke Greek. The Western Empire was poorer and weaker. The Eastern Empire was richer and stronger. The Western Empire faced more attacks from Germanic tribes. The Eastern Empire could often buy off the attackers with gold. In the 400 AD, things got much worse for the Western Empire. Germanic tribes moved into the empire in large numbers. Some came to escape the Huns, a fierce group from Asia. Others came to find better land. The Roman army could not stop them. In 410 AD, something unthinkable happened. A Germanic tribe called the Visigoths, led by a king named Alaric, attacked Rome itself. They sacked the city. They stole treasure. They burned buildings. For 800 years, no foreign army had entered Rome. Now it had fallen. The news shocked the entire world. But Rome survived. The empire continued, but it was much weaker. More attacks followed. Different tribes took over different parts of the empire. The Vandals took North Africa. The Visigoths took Spain. The Franks took Gaul, which is now France. Britain had already been abandoned by Rome years before. The last emperor of the Western Roman Empire was a young boy named Romulus Augustulus. His name is interesting. Romulus was the name of the first king of Rome. Augustulus means little Augustus. He was a child, controlled by his father. He was not a real leader. In 476 AD, a Germanic leader named Odoacer took control. He deposed the young emperor. He sent the imperial symbols to the Eastern Emperor in Constantinople. He said the West did not need an emperor anymore. This is the date we usually mark as the fall of the Western Roman Empire. But the story does not end there. The Eastern Roman Empire continued. We call it the Byzantine Empire today. It lasted for another 1,000 years. The Byzantine emperors still called themselves Romans. They still followed Roman laws. They still saw themselves as the heirs of Rome. The Byzantine Empire had its own great emperor, Justinian. He ruled from 527 to 565 AD. He tried to take back the Western Empire. His generals conquered Italy and North Africa. For a short time, Rome was part of the empire again, but these conquests did not last. After Justinian died, the empire slowly shrank. The Byzantine Empire faced many enemies: Persians, Arabs, Turks. Each attack made it weaker. In 1453, the Ottoman Turks attacked Constantinople. They had cannons and a huge army. The city walls had protected Constantinople for 1,000 years, but cannons could break the walls. The city fell. The last emperor died fighting. The Roman Empire was finally gone. Why did the Roman Empire fall? This is a question people have asked for more than 1,500 years. There is no single answer. Many things came together to bring down this great empire. First, the empire was too big. It was difficult to govern such a large territory. Communication was slow. Messages took weeks to travel from one end of the empire to the other. It was hard to control local officials and generals. When problems came, it was hard to respond quickly. Second, the empire had economic problems. Taxes were high. The rich got richer. The poor got poorer. The middle class disappeared. Trade declined. The empire did not have enough money to pay its army or maintain its roads and buildings. Third, the army had problems. Roman soldiers used to be the best in the world, but over time, the army changed. More and more soldiers came from outside the empire. They were not as loyal. They fought for money, not for Rome. They sometimes fought for their own generals against the emperor. Fourth, political problems weakened the empire. Emperors were often killed and replaced. There was no clear rule for who became emperor. Any general with an army could try to take power. This led to constant civil wars. Fifth, outside pressures were too great. The Germanic tribes were not just attacking Rome. They were moving into the empire and settling there. They had their own kings and their own armies. They did not want to be ruled by Rome. They wanted to rule themselves. Sixth, some people say the empire fell because it lost its values. The old Roman virtues, duty, honor, discipline, were gone. People cared more about entertainment than about serving the state. They went to the gladiator games and the chariot races. They did not care who was emperor. Seventh, Christianity changed Rome. This is not to say Christianity caused the fall, but the old Roman religion had tied the empire together. The emperor was a god. When people stopped believing in the old gods, they lost something that united them. Christians looked to God, not to the emperor, as their highest authority. But perhaps the most important reason is this: nothing lasts forever. All great empires rise, and all great empires fall. The Roman Empire lasted more than 1,000 years in the West. In the East, it lasted almost 1,500 years. That is a very long time for any civilization to exist. Why do we still remember the Roman Empire after all these years? Because its influence is everywhere. Roman law is the basis for many legal systems today. Many countries in Europe and Latin America have laws that came from Rome. Roman language lives on. Latin was the language of Rome. It evolved into French, Spanish, Italian, Portuguese, and Romanian. We call these the Romance languages. Even English, which is not a Romance language, has many words from Latin. Roman architecture still inspires us. We still build buildings with columns and arches, just like the Romans did. Many government buildings in Washington, D.C. look like Roman temples. Roman roads connected the empire. Some of these roads are still used today. The saying, "all roads lead to Rome," reminds us that Rome was the center of the world. Roman literature is still read. Virgil's Aeneid and Ovid's Metamorphoses are still studied in schools. They have inspired writers for 2,000 years. Roman ideas about government still matter. The idea of a republic with a senate and elected officials came from Rome. The United States and many other countries borrowed these ideas. And the story of Rome's fall teaches us something important. It teaches us that even the greatest powers can fall. It teaches us that success can lead to problems if we are not careful. It teaches us that change is the only constant in history. The Roman Empire showed us what humans can achieve. They built amazing things. They created beautiful art. They wrote great literature. They made laws that protected people. They brought peace to millions. For all its problems, the Roman Empire was one of the greatest civilizations in history. Today, when we learn English, we are doing something similar to what the Romans did. Latin spread because Rome was powerful. People learned Latin to trade with Romans, to work for Romans, to become part of the Roman world. English is spreading today for similar reasons. It is the language of business, of science, of the internet. Learning English opens doors, just as learning Latin opened doors 2,000 years ago. When you learn English, you are connecting to a global community. You are joining millions of people around the world who use this language to communicate, to learn, to work, and to dream. The Romans would understand this. They knew that language is power. They knew that communication connects people. They knew that learning opens minds. So today, as you listen to this story in English, you are part of something big. You are part of a global conversation. You are building your own empire, one word, one sentence, one story at a time. Thank you for listening to this story today. I hope you enjoyed learning about the amazing history of the Roman Empire. I hope it helped you with your English. If you liked this story, please give it a like. If you want to hear more stories about history and great civilizations, please subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us create more content for your English learning journey. And if you have ideas for other stories you want to hear, please leave a comment below. I would love to know which topics help you learn best. Until next time, my friends, keep learning, keep wondering, and remember, every empire starts with a single stone. Every English learner starts with a single word. Goodbye for now.